Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. I'm making a response video to the Trump inauguration. I've been planning on returning to posting on a weekly, if not daily basis, and what better time than now? Now, before the inauguration even happened, we're not even one day into this criminal's presidential run, and a few days before the inauguration, he released his crypto coin, whatever, the Trump coin scam. And if you don't know, 85% of the people who bought into it are MAGA supporters. And guess who really shoveled all the money into that scam? The people who were the insiders with the knowledge. Obviously, he let his billionaire friends know about that, so they bought into it to hyperinflate the value. And once they all cash out, it will collapse, and all the MAGA supporters, all those suckers, are going to lose out on their money. So before it even began, we already have this. Now, on the day of the inauguration, if you guys have been paying attention or not, he talks about, I'm just going to list a couple of these things, not in any particular order, but basically, if you look at the video, front row seat, who are the people in the front row seats of the speech? It's not even people in his administration. They're a bunch of billionaires and robber barons. Jeff Bezos, Mark Zuckerberg, Elon Musk, they're all there, right, at the front row seat, which signifies to us the age, of the Gilded Age, the new Gilded Age of the robber barons. We're in a lot of trouble, and this is only the beginning. Then we got, it's funny how the masses of people, he talks about being a populist for the crowd, Trump, being a populist for the people. Well, what happened to the MAGA crowd? They're all left down in the cold. I guess apparently if you don't have a 7-figure donation, you can't make it into that building. You have to be left in the freezing cold to stand there and, wait for your cult leader to finish a speech. So again, the people got screwed over, and they're going to lose out their money on the Trump coin. And then we got, and by the way, Trump, what did he do? Apparently his net worth went up by tenfold because of the latest scam. Now, I'm not sure what's going to happen to it. It's on paper. We'll have to wait about that. And then we also have Elon Musk, who is being called the shadow president of this administration, which I think is a very apt term, throwing up a Nazi salute.
Thank you. Thank you. My heart goes out to you.
And then his defenders, they'd use all kinds of verbal gymnastics. I want to see what kind of verbal gymnastics the Jewish Republicans are going to jump to defend that action of 2 times throwing up a Nazi salute. For a guy whose grandparents were Nazis, who are known to be Nazis, and for someone whose father was an apartheid mining, apartheid, South African apartheid mine owner, maybe if you don't want to be judged as being a Nazi sympathizer, it's best not to throw up a Nazi salute, right? Maybe you should do that if you really don't want to be labeled as a Nazi. Anyway, so that's during the speech. Now I'm going to list off some of the things that this criminal has talked about instating. So he's got I think it was 180 or something executive orders that he signed. I'm gonna list off some of the ones that I know about right now. By the way, a lot of these are the same, the principles that have been laid out in the Project 2025 agenda. So for a guy who says, "Oh, I have nothing to do with the Project 2025, I know nothing about it," well, how come so many of the policies that you're talking about were written in the clause for the Project 2025? How come? I wonder why. Maybe you're just lying. Maybe you're just a bullshitter. He lies about everything. Anyway, so I'm gonna list these off. Trump says that he's gonna ban trans athletes in sports, which is I don't really care about that. But he talks about the fact that they're gonna force people to choose a gender. They're gonna basically tell you whether you're a man or a woman. So the government's going to be stepping in apparently to tell a trans person, hey, you're not this, you're not that. You are what we designate you to be. Now, I don't know about you guys, but from my research, gender identity is a very fluid concept. And the idea of strictly reinforced gender roles are just simply cultural, and they're imposed through our culture. So going back thousands of years, our hunter-gatherer ancestors, they did not have strictly defined gender roles. Women hunted. 40% of the hunting was done by women. A lot of men stayed home and took care of the kids. So the idea that you should be defined, gender should define your actions and your emotions and what you're tied to is ludicrous and false. Literally, provably false. And I made a video about that down on my channel. If you go back a couple years ago, I did a video with Amanda Smith. We did a good discussion on that. So that is already very scary and pathetic. Trump then talks about he wants to coup Venezuela, just like the first term, right? Remember, he talked about Venezuela. He wanted to coup Venezuela and take the oil, right? Take all the resources that they had, because they have a lot of minerals that the U.S. Government, that billionaire barons covet.
Venezuela. How about we're buying oil from Venezuela? When I left, Venezuela was ready to collapse. We would have taken it over. We would have gotten all that oil. It would have been right next door.
So he talked about that. So he talks about already wanting to overthrow Venezuelan government, right? Because he does not like Maduro, because obviously Maduro is a leader for the people, for the masses. So already, like this so-called peace candidate, right? He's already talking about overthrowing the government of Venezuela. Then he talks about he pardoned the 1,500 January 6th insurrectionists, aka criminals, who basically assaulted police officers, broke into the Capitol building. Now, I don't pretend like we have a democracy. We don't have a democracy. There's only the veneer of democracy. But when you have people act in that kind of brazen manner, even the veneer is going to fall off, and just law and order breaks down. So I never believed that we have actual law in this country and order anywhere in this world, in this capitalist world, but the veneer of it is slipped off, okay? We are entering a new phase. And by him pardoning 1,600 people who are Trump loyalists, right? If you notice the trend in this administration, he's putting a bunch of loyalists in positions of power, because he does not want a single person who's going to step out of line and call him out for what he's doing. So he pardoned them. He pardoned the Israeli West Bank settlers who've been committing acts of murder and theft and all kinds of harassment against the Palestinian population. He pardoned them because obviously he's an Israel cuck. Trump has no values. Trump only values whoever pays him the most money, and he'll do their bidding. And obviously Miriam Adelson, who is the wife of the deceased billionaire casino owner, forgot the guy's name. Sheldon Adelson. He got $100 million from her to promise her that he's going to annex the West Bank, which already is beginning with him pardoning the Israeli criminal, disgusting, extremist settlers. So we already have that. Let's go to the next, the rest of the list. He vows to deregulate the regulatory state, which is basically like, you should only expect that from somebody like him, who's a billionaire businessman, which free market capitalism at its truest form is all about deregulation. And deregulation is a cancer, because if you don't have a regulatory state, that means who's there to protect you? What poisons are put into your water supply? Who's there to protect the food that you're eating, whether it's GMO or whatever? Who's there to protect like the Consumer Protection Agency, which is a very legit agency that has returned billions of dollars of scam money back to the American public, right? People who got scammed by the Wall Street crooks and all these other credit card companies who engaged in massive fraud, they returned billions of dollars back to the people. He wants to deregulate that. He wants to completely get rid of it, because his billionaire friends, that's what they want. Again, we're entering a new Gilded Age, guys. It's extremely frightening. We're not even one day into this administration. Look what's happening. Next, he wants to remove all the offshore licenses for wind turbines. So wind energy is very controversial. We're not sure about its efficiency right now. Obviously, if you put more money into the research and development, we can come up with better wind turbines to do better percentage of efficiency. But remember that speech he gave a while ago about wind turbines being so bad that apparently they cause cancer, and apparently they distract, they disturb his view when you have a bunch of wind turbines. Those ugly things that disturb my view when I'm trying to play my golf course. So don't forget, this guy is all about drilling. This guy is all about fossil fuel expansion. He does not care about the environment. He does not care at all about the environment. So this is already a very ugly sign. So he wants to remove the offshore licenses for wind turbines. Okay. He wants to remove the protection placed by Joe Biden. Like, there's one thing that Joe Biden did that was good, maybe among 2 or 3 good things that he did, was at least putting a protective license on natural lands in the United States that are supposed to be protected lands to not be used for drilling. He wants to remove those, he wants to remove the protection placed on them by the government and open them up for drilling. If you don't, if you pay attention, he said drill baby drill in the speech yesterday, in his inauguration speech. This guy's a criminal. This guy's a disgusting human being. And then he wants to designate the drug cartels in Mexico as terrorist organizations, which may lead up to an invasion, may lead up to a war. Who knows? He says he wants to perform drone strikes on the drug cartels in Mexico. I mean, and the Mexican government said, no, we will decide how we're going to deal with the drug cartels ourselves. But you know what? Hey, it's Trump. He's going to do what he wants to do. And, performing drone strikes on drug cartels in another country is pretty much like waging war on that country. So, and then, who is a bigger threat to our country? Drug cartels from the South, immigrants coming up north, or perhaps it's the billionaire robber barons that have been gutting this country dry, shipping jobs overseas, deregulating workplace rights, trying to lower the minimum wage, trying to talk about, some of the people in this cabinet are so nuts, and I'll be going to it in future videos. I'll be breaking down every one of these people, like Marco Rubio, like Pete Hegseth, whatever his name is. Some of these people are actually talking about child labor being brought back to the United States. They're advocates of child labor, which does not surprise me because the free market logic, the purest ideology of free markets is about whatever goes. Exploitation has no limits when it comes to free markets. Free market is all about exploiting people, exploiting resources, human labor, what have you. So that does not surprise me one bit. And then lastly, he, there's a list I have right now. I'm going to go into it more as more news come out. But basically, if you notice, there's one thing that he did not say at all. He talked about having a safe society. He talked about how Democrats are so corrupt. He talked about how we have to reduce crimes in these cities that are, liberal cities or whatnot. I'm not a liberal by the way. I don't like Democrats or Republicans. But, you notice how not one single mention of economic reform. You notice that? Not one single mention of economic reform. To talk about maybe we should increase the minimum wage. Maybe we should regulate Wall Street. Maybe we should do things that will minimize the reduce the income gap in this country, which has been exploding in the last few decades and is bound to get to astronomical levels as time moves forward with this new administration, which has a record number of CEOs and billionaires in his administration. So not one mention. Why? Because this guy's a fucking crook. He's a criminal. He's a fraud. That's what they do. Capitalists will never talk about economic reform. What they'll always do is put the blame game on like immigrants or like trans people or whatever. What is a bigger threat? The teenager who wants to, the teenage boy who wants to put lipstick on his mouth and color his hair purple, or the, multi-billionaire Elon Musk, Zuckerberg, Jeff Bezos, Bill Gates, who have an alliance now to gut the world dry and aggrandize themselves further. Who is a bigger threat to this country? The billionaires or trans people? I mean, it's amazing. And this blame game is only going to continue. And I expect his MAGA support base some of them are going to fall out. They're going to realize what kind of a monster this guy is. But the majority of them are still going to do all kinds of backflips and front flips and all that kind of stuff to explain themselves out of why he's a good guy still, why he should be justified what he's doing, why this guy is a man of the people. Yeah, great. A billionaire who's had everything handed to him in his life, a ruthless human being who's done nothing but crush his way to the top. I'm sure he cares about the average person. All right, guys. Well, that's the video for today, and I want to wrap it up by talking about this book that I really recommend you guys read, Business as a System of Power. Business as a System of Power by Robert Brady. This book basically breaks it down. If you understand how business functions, the business mentality, you would not be surprised to see what's happening to this country and to the world by extension, because a lot of the governments in the world are moving right, becoming right-wingers, extremist administrations. And that is to be expected. Business is a system of power. It is not a democratic concept. Business is actually a fascistic concept, okay? Most people in this world have no idea that the minute they walk into their workplace, they're walking into a fascistic dictatorship. You do have no right. You have no ability to express your rights as a human being when you walk into a business workplace. If you're an employee of a corporation, you have no right. You listen to what they tell you or you get fired. That's what happens. So we're having a society where we had in the past certain safeguards in place to protect children, protect women's rights, protect low minimum wage workers. These protections are going to be stripped away as time moves forward, and this country is going to slip into chaos, destruction, and overt fascism. No longer covert. We had, like I said, the false veneer, the shroud of democracy is going to be all gone, and right out in your face is going to be a fascistic, totalitarian regime that does not give a crap what you think. As long as you're a loyalist to Trump, you'll be okay. But when you talk about maybe economic reform, when you talk about maybe a new system should be put in place, I don't see it out of the picture for people to be labeled as terrorists and a threat to national security. People like myself, will be labeled as communist, weirdos and whack jobs, even though I'm not a communist. But anyway, guys, strap yourselves in, man. The next 4 years are going to be a hilarious circus show, and I'll be here to chronicle it and provide, some insight and provide possibly some solutions to what's going on. But I'll try to end some of my videos with solutions. One solution I'll say right now is we have to really be steadfast in becoming the new media. We have to take over and become the new alternative media, okay? We got to start educating people. We got to start educating people and make them understand that this is not just, the problem is not just Trump. The problem is not just people like Elon Musk, these totalitarian dictators. The problem is the very ideology of capitalism that has led us to this point. Okay, because if you remove all the right-wing fascistic leaders of the world today, you get rid of all of them, the uneducated population are going to basically vote for policies that are going to bring us pretty much right back to where we are right now. Okay? People who are uneducated will favor policies that oppress and destroy them in the end. So that's why it really comes down to education, guys. It comes down to community building. We have to get together, form communities. We have to educate one another, the people, the public, and put this information out there. Capitalism is the main threat to life on this planet. It's going to destroy all life on this planet, okay? And there's no other solution other than to get rid of the system. The solution is not socialism. The solution is not communism. The solution is a system that's based on sustainability principles, using science and technology for the betterment of all mankind, and restoring balance to our natural habitats, and making sure that our economic activities remain within the bounds of natural limits. Okay? Anyway, guys, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you liked it, please share it with other people. And peace out. I'll be seeing you guys soon. All right. Bye.